Okay, so in this video, we are actually gonna make the Coruncula and the UVs. Let's just start with the Coruncula, cause why not? First thing first, I am gonna be adding the cube as you can see, and then I'm just gonna, add the subdivision modifier by Control 2. By the way, that's the shortcut for it. And now I'm just gonna start positioning it in the right place. And I've told you that the Coruncula that we are sculpting was just for the sake of placing and just for the sake of likeness. But right now, what we are doing is going to be the actual Coruncula. So you can see that I am just giving it a base kind of a look, and now I'm just going to apply it and then add a multi-res modifier. So what it's going to do, it is just going to give us the like control to like sculpt all these things, and I need to apply all transforms because the scaling was not right, and because of that it was just not sculpting properly, so I had to apply the transforms, and now I can just place it at the Coruncula where the Coruncula is supposed to be. So as you can see, I am like just intersecting it, and it is totally fine to do so yeah, you can see that I am doing. And by the way, have a reference by your side to actually see how exactly the Coruncula is supposed to look like. In this particular case, I am actually looking at the reference. As you can see on the top right corner, I have a reference, so I am basically just looking at it. Now, one of the part that you are seeing, I'm basically creating a bending, and the right part of the Coruncula is supposed to, just wrap around the eyeball. So that's what I'm trying to do. As you can see, wrapping around the eyeball is basically what I'm doing on the right side. And yeah, after that, I am just gonna like create a sharper line in between to basically separate both of these part a little bit. And I'll always have a reference, by the way, at your side to see how exactly the form is supposed to be. In this particular case, I have actually, took the screenshot from the website RoboFort that we've already talked about. And as you can see, how small or how big the Coruncula is supposed to be in an eyeball. So I am just looking at the reference and trying to, adjust the size of this corner part of the Coruncula. And as you can see, there is this gap in between the Coruncula and where the Coruncula actually stops. So I am basically just giving the gap in the eyeball, and now I can just start adding a little bit of volume to give just a little bit of randomness to it. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. As you can see, actually I'm just longing making this particular part a bit more longer, and now I have started adding or removing some of the volumes to make the surface look a bit more like random, as you can see in the reference. So that's basically the reason that I'm doing. And do you know what, even at this point you can actually just stop working on it, but as you can see, I am like obviously not satisfied, and this is just how it is. Now I'm just trying to wrap up the Coruncula around the eyeball. So as you can see, that's what I'm doing, and obviously it is intersecting because the right part is just gonna be transparent, and we're gonna talk about it in the shader actually when we'll be setting up the shader for the Caruncula. But yeah, the idea is to basically wrap up the Coruncula part, the right part actually, around the eyeball, so that when we'll make it transparent, it just does not look weird. Now we need to apply the base so that it basically takes the shape like the shape of the sculpt, and now we can just mirror it. So yeah, as you can see, this is basically how I have made the Coruncula, and it is actually almost done. You can just go into it and go into sculpting and move around stuff. Like if you are not satisfied, you can obviously just move around stuff. But yeah, that was basically it for the Coruncula. And now what I'm doing, I'm just like fixing stuff here and there. But yeah, this is something that I always do. Like I always just does not get satisfied with the first result. But yeah, so I'm just like moving stuff around to make it look a bit better and everything. But that was the process, and you do. If you feel like that you have a better way of doing it, just experiment with your own. But I think this works in the end when we'll actually start adding the shader. and will make the right part transparent, you're gonna see that it actually blends pretty nicely and it works pretty awesome, just like you are. So yeah, I think this is where the Coruncula part ends. By the way, I really am not sure, but okay, maybe it is not ending, and I mean, we are obviously gonna be doing the UVs, and I think yeah, it actually have ended. And as you can see, this is our UVs, and now we need to add the UV seams so that we basically can unwrap it. And also, we are gonna be using, I think, three UDIMs. I actually don't remember how many UDIMs I have used in this particular project, but yes, you can like clearly see that the UVs are not good enough, and we need to apply the base, by the way, so that you can see that right now the shape that we have of the base mesh in the edit mode is not actually accurate, so we need to apply the base. And the reason is once we do our UVs, we need to make sure that the shape of the UVs basically match the original forms. Now I'm just gonna start, adding the edge loops, and the reason that I'm not double clicking is because Blender is not letting me double click, because the amount of polygon we have in this particular project is a bit too much, and double clicking is not working. So I am just selecting one edge and then selecting the edge loop option. So yeah, that's how I am adding the edge loop, and not by selecting the double click, because again, Blender is not letting me to do the double click. Again, because the file is pretty heavy, not in terms of moving around and sculpting, but for some reason, selecting an edge loop by double clicking is kind of hard. And right now, the reason this part is actually time lapsed is because I basically want to separate out the ear, and there isn't really anything for me to explain. You can see where I'm adding the seam. So I am basically separating out the neck and the ear and the back of the head. So these are one of the parts that I am just separating out, and I don't think there is any explanation that I need to give. And also, the reason this video is like sped up is because the process was actually kind of laggy, so I didn't really want you to see that. But as you can see, the back of the head, the neck, and the ears are basically being separated out, and also the inside of the eyes are gonna be separate, and the inside of the nose is gonna be separate. So yeah, if you are like buying this course, I'm gonna assume that you know little bit of UVs, and that's why I feel like that there is no need to explain what I'm doing. I'm just like separating out all the stuff that I really don't need in the main in the main face. So yeah, the base is gonna be separate as well, as you can see, because we are not gonna be seeing this, so we can just separate it out and then just put that into the corner. And now that we have our seams, I can just UV unwrap it, and obviously Blender is gonna take its time to unwrap the mesh. And yeah, let's actually wait for it to happen. And it did. As you can see, this is our UVs. Now what we need to do, we need to make sure that it actually is not stretching. So in order to check that, we can actually add a grid texture that you can like create in the Blender itself. But I have no idea what I'm gonna do now, so I think I am just creating the grid texture, by the way. So the 2K grid texture is what I'm going for. As you can see, color grid, and you can just name it whatever you want. In the end, it's not gonna be a texture that's gonna be saved. So UV test or whatever you really wanna name it, you can just do that. And now let's actually just click on OK, and Blender is taking its time to create a UV map. Not a UV map, but a texture, which is like quite weird. But now we can actually check if everything is okay and not stretching, because we need to make sure that nothing basically stretches. So now I can just put the image into the image in the base color, sorry. And now I can actually go up a little bit of resolution to see exactly how it is looking on the higher subdivision. So As you can see, all the squares are pretty much nice. The only stretching that I can see are on the ears. In this particular case, I really didn't I think that I could have just ignored the ears, but I am just gonna be fixing those. But everywhere else is pretty nice. All the squares that you have on the grid are pretty neat and clean on the surface. So the face actually turned out to be pretty nice, and the face doesn't really need to be changed. The only thing that I'm gonna change is the ears. So yes, let's actually start, go into the edit mode and start adding seams in the ears. So these are the ear mesh, like not the mesh, but the ear UVs. So yes, let's actually start splitting the ears out. By the way, I think I'm trying to. Okay, so because Blender is actually kind of laggy right now, as you can see, it is kind of weird to work with it, but it's not that laggy, like the performance is not the issue. Sometimes when you click on buttons, it just takes time to do the process. So it's that kind of a laggy, you can like still, as you can see, you can like still work on it, and the viewport is pretty smooth. But yeah, like double clicking and adding the seams is laggy and stuff like that, which is, I think it's still okay. We are at the 52 million polygon mesh, so I think it's natural for Blender to be laggy. Now I have actually added these seams, and I have splitted the ears. And there is no stretching in the ears as well now. So that's pretty okay. I think the UVs are actually pretty nice. As you can see in the ear hole, where like this particular part, you have the stretching, but you could have actually ignored it. In my case, especially because the ears are not gonna be visible, I can actually just ignore this part. But in the end, I did eventually had added the seams, and just so that there won't be any sort of stretching here. But yes, in the end, these are the final UVs, and now all I need to do is to just place them in a manner so that we can actually utilize the UDIMs. So you can see that I have unwrapped it again so that all the squares are basically come at the same size. So what I'll do, I'll actually just select the main part of our face first, like the front part of the face. And I am actually, in order to create the UDMs, I am just temporarily creating a Parshuram base color image. By the way, we are going to be using the 4K. I know this does sound taunting, but yes, we are going to be using the 4K, and we are not actually going to be using this particular image to paint our stuff on, because texturing in Blender like is pretty slow. So we're gonna have to bake our vertex colors, and I am just gonna show you the process later. But right now, let's actually just place these according to the UDIMs. So I am just gonna select the front part of the face, and I'm just gonna select on unwrap so that it basically just okay, not not really doing it. I think I'm just gonna place them manually. So yes, I am placing them manually instead of doing the UV unwrap. Okay. So yeah, I think I gotta have to lower the scale down a little bit because it is actually impossible for me to place them. So I am just gonna scale them by 2.2. And yeah, let's actually try and place them now. So okay, now they are actually fitting. Even though a little bit of space is still vacant, we can actually just fill that space with things like this. This is the bottom part of like the chest area that we had separated, and we can just put it into the corner. It's totally okay. I think these are the earpieces which we are not gonna be able to see, so I can just put these here. And yeah, these can just sit over here. I don't really mind. Now, this part is, I think, the back part of the head where the ears were connected. So I can just put them into the second part of. Okay, so I am packing the island. The reason is once they are packed, I can just move them onto the x-axis with one like one unit, and they'll be just sitting there. So I can just do the same with this. I can just pack it, and I can just press grab X and then 2 units so that they'll be pegged on that particular side. Now these are the ears, and I can just put them wherever there is an empty space basically. So yeah, it's just me trying to pack the file. Because I knew that ears are actually not that important, I can just scale down this particular part a bit. So that's what I'm gonna do, because they are not really, they are not like fitting into the place. So I gotta have to scale these down, and I am just scaling both of these down. By the way, I didn't really had to do that, but in the end, it's not really going to matter as much, because the image we are gonna be using is gonna be 8K, I think, or maybe 4K. I don't remember in the end what resolution of an image we've used, but the image that we have right now here is just for the sake of adding the, like, just for the sake of placing the UVs with the UDINs. So now I can just put this part up, and now I can actually adjust this. So you can see I am just adjusting it right here, and yeah, we basically have gotten the space here. So now we just need to make sure that these UVs need to be adjusted on the other side or on the up. I mean, there is so many places I can just put it over here, and yeah, that's, I think, is all about the UVs, and I don't think that I have actually made any other changes. But yeah, this is like totally fine. As you can see, this is like working pretty nicely. Yeah, I am just like adjusting some of the stuff, as you can see, and this is again the bad habit. Like, I'm trying to maximize each and every pixel of the image, and yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna do the same thing with this particular part, even though this is the ear, and even though I consciously kind of know that it's not that important of a part, but I'm still just trying to make sure that I basically maximize each and every like pixel of the image. And yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna do anything else. And this is basically going to be the final UVs. Uh, if okay, now I know why this video is long. I was like, why the hell is this video is not ending? I mean, I've done the UV, so this part is left. This is the inner part of the mouth, and yeah, because the inner part is not gonna be seen, I can just put it anywhere, and just make sure that nothing overlaps. By the way, and also make sure that that the edges of the UVs actually does not touch the edges of the image. Otherwise, there is gonna be a pixelation problem. So yes, this is actually kind of it with the UVs. I think it was pretty simple and easy to understand. Like, I've just separated out the front face from the back face and then the neck. Like, you can see the UVs. If you feel like there are some better way of doing the UVs, then obviously do that. So these are gonna be the UVs that are gonna be used in the final texturing process, and also this is where the video is about to end. So I'm just gonna see you in the next one.